So my main ingredients in my clam chowder: potatoes, onion, garlic, celery, bacon, vanilla clams and clam broth, and good old heavy cream because it's good for your heart. And then spices, they're a little looser. I probably use a little oregano, a little Italian seasoning, some basil, kosher salt, black pepper.
What about the axe?
I don't know what to tell you about that. It just keeps appearing.
Unruly clams.
Yeah. Keeps them under control. So when you're steaming your clams, keep an eye on things. Just don't let them steam over. That's why I have a sealed burner stove in here. So my bacon, I'll use about a pound of it. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this up and fry it up right now. You may recognize my bacon from previous videos. One of my philosophies of cooking is if you always start with good ingredients, it's tough to end up with bad food. Can be done, but it makes it harder. So basically, when I'm doing this, I use roughly an equal amount of whatever my amount of clams is. I use about an equal amount of diced potatoes, 2/3 that amount of onion. I'll probably use 2 of these cloves of garlic for this side of the batch, maybe 3. And then celery, I probably use roughly half as much of that as I do as I have clams. So, and I went over the onion with you, just a sweet onion. So, potatoes give it a little more body, and add some starch to it, thicken things up a little bit. So when I dice up my potatoes, I hate it when you go to a restaurant or someplace you get clam chowder and a piece of potatoes in it's about that size. So I like, 1/4 to 3/8 inch dice on or something. So yes, that's going to be enough, but I'll do one more just in case. Make sure you pick the rubber bands out. They make your chowder extra chewy if you don't.
Always rinse your celery.
Absolutely. If you want to pressure can clam chowder, you can't pressure can anything that's got a high milk, and this has got the cream into it, or it will just curdle. So when I get it to just this broth stage here, I'll pull it off, and you can can that, and then when you go to rewarm it, you warm it up and you add your cream at that time when you're reheating it. It works really pretty darn well.
And then just use the FDA canning recommendations.
Yeah.
Which for us is generally for seafood 70 minutes at 10 pounds.
Yeah, 60, 70 minutes, 90 minutes, I guess. I don't know. This fresh garlic I got here, it's got an outstanding flavor. I like a lot of garlic in my chowder, but you can also overpower it. So I think I'll go with about 2.5 cloves to start with here and see what that looks like. Want to try a bite of that?
No. How is it?
Friggin' awesome.
Is it? Well, then I'd better try it.
Wow. I think I'll change my amounts based on that little taste.
Boy, you can feel that heat right out of the gate. Here, let me wash that down with some celery. Oh yeah, take some celery, Ron, because I know that's burning your mouth right now.
No,
Good though.
it is good, but it's definitely got some flavor to it.
Yeah.
Good garlic.
Is it too early to start drinking? It's only 9.
Never. And I know all you guys that watch are amazed that I am not drinking scotch by whatever time it is.
9:30.
9:30 in the morning. But I want you to know I have a perfectly legitimate reason. I'm out.
Oh.
So send your donations too. Ron Ross, care of my backyard.
We'll do a GoFundMe.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy Ron some scotch.
It's probably because I actually, and I'm gonna, you know, if you got tender ears, you might want to turn your volume down, but I actually went to work in April for a month and a half, so it slowed down my scotch routine. I was away from home for 45 days or something. And if you want to know what I do for a living, I do as little as possible, and I'm damn good at it.
When he's not driving a boat several thousand miles around the planet.
Time to shell our clams. If I had good help or scotch, I would have my help doing this while I drink scotch. So I've got my bacon all rendered down. I like it nice and crispy, so I'll drain it on some paper towels here. Not saying I'm going to use all this bacon in the chowder, but we'll have to see what it looks like when I get done. So I've got all my clams shucked now, nice little batch here. I like doing just kind of a real coarse chop of them. These guys are pretty small anyway, but I like it just a little bit better. You get a good bite of clam and every bite of chowder this way. So I've got the bulk of my ingredients here right now. I got my clams. I got about a bowl of clams. So throw them in there. Whoops. Roughly an equal amount of spuds. And then onions, about 2/3 as much onions. Garlic, that's looking like a lot of garlic to me right now, so I'm not gonna add quite all that. Don't want to overpower it. And my celery. I'll do the crisp bacon, goes on a little later in the process. So now, I think this is one of the keys. I saved my broth when I was, after I steamed the clams. And I'll add that till it's just at the top of the vegetables. If I'm a little low, I can always add more water, but yeah, that's about perfect right there. Now we'll get her turned on and get her cooking till the spuds are done. Okay, at this point I'm gonna give her a little salt, black pepper,
Purely scientific measurements.
yes, a touch of oregano, a little bit of Italian seasoning, some basil, and I got a few parsley flakes I'll add too. Alright, we'll adjust the amounts of those spices here when we get to doing some taste tests a little bit later. Okay, so our chowder's been simmering for a little bit, so I'm going to check a spud and a celery a little bit for doneness and see what I think. Spud's looking pretty good. Cuts easy. Nice and tender. Celery's tender but not mush. So we're ready for the next part, which is adding heavy cream. I don't know exactly how many it's going to take. I've got a half gallon here. Hopefully that'll be enough. I can always resort to half and half if not. So just kind of do this by a little bit by looks. I'm guessing it'll be close to a half gallon here. stir and a quick check here before I add the last one.
And then we got some bacon.
That'll go in just a minute. Well, looks about right to me. I could probably add a little bit more, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I like a good chunky chowder, not too much liquid. We're gonna call that good. That was about 3.5 pints. I crisped up some of my homemade bacon earlier. And we'll add a couple handfuls of that. That looks pretty good. Running out of room to set things. And then I add a couple of tablespoons of bacon grease to it too, because I wasn't going to do enough damage to my heart with heavy cream. Perfect. Now I talked earlier about pressure canning. What I was trying to say is just before you add the cream, if you were to take that broth and pressure can it according to FDA regulations, then you could you could break it out later and then add the cream to it and the cornstarch and thicken it up at that point. I don't know, I think I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of that cream. This is looking like pretty good chowder.
That's really good bacon.
I'm thinking we probably ought to just add the rest of that and call it a day too.
But won't we run out of bacon then?
No, I have another 40 pounds here.
If we only had some scotch.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be a pretty good batch.
And so the only thing you have left is a little cornstarch?
Yep. Gonna let that simmer until the cream is just about boiling. Keep an eye on it. Don't let it boil. You boil it and curdle it, you just ruin the whole batch. So, not the right time to have consumed too much of your favorite beverage. So this is just starting to boil, so now I'm going to add cornstarch. This is a mixture of cornstarch and half and half, and I'll just add it slowly and stir until it gets up to whatever consistency you like it. I like mine pretty thick. And don't add it too fast, because when it really hits the boiling point, it tends to really thicken up a lot at the end. You'll have to add more water, milk back into it.
Silky smooth.
Getting there. At this stage, I'm turning up the heat a little bit because I'm watching it, and I just want to get it right up there, and I'll get my perfect thickness.
The taste test is going to be awesome.
We'll see. We'll let Chloe test it.
Good call.
And she'll like it, or the Amazon password gets changed. I think we can call that done.
I think you're right.
Get it off the heat. Give it a little taste test now. Finalize my salt. Is it hot?
Yeah.
Really hot?
It's almost like it just came off the
Does it
stove.
taste like a mouthful of seared flesh?
It's good.
It is good? Okay, we win. Good job, Rod.
you. Hope you enjoyed the video.